my absolute favorite RPGs came out in the middle of 1996, just as my favorite console at the time, the SNES, was fading out of the limelight. I only had one major issue with Star Ocean, the game that captured so much of my attention back then. It was only released in Japan, and I only had a very basic understanding of it at the time. I played the English translated ROM that appeared a few years later, and enjoyed it in every way. It honestly became one of my favorite RPGs on the system, and it still is. As I turned my attention to the Sony PlayStation though, and all the great RPGs it offered, I was beyond excited to learn that a sequel to Star Ocean was to be released in 1999. Like the original, Star Ocean: The Second Story was developed by Tri-Ace, the same company that split off from Wolf Team and created Tales of Phantasia. Star Ocean: The Second Story was also later released on the PlayStation Portable as Star Ocean Second Evolution, a remastered version that contained voice acting, new skills, new cutscenes, new endings, and even a new playable character. Accordingly, this video contains footage from both versions of the game. Like the first Star Ocean game, the second story is greatly influenced by Star Trek and science fiction in general. The story takes place 20 years after the original Star Ocean game, and unlike almost every other RPG out there, you actually choose from one of two lead protagonists at the beginning of the game. One of them, Claude C. Kenny, is the son of Ronix J. Kenny from the first Star Ocean title. Under Claude's first mission for the Earth Federation, he is sent to survey a planet, where he discovers a mysterious machine that teleports him to the planet Expel. There, he meets Rena, a girl who mistakes him for a legendary hero of light that is prophesized by her people. So yeah, at the beginning of the game you actually select which character, Claude or Rena, you wish to control as the lead protagonist. On the surface, it seems like this decision doesn't matter much, since the general storyline unfolds similarly regardless of your choice. However, it does make quite a bit of difference in regard to character recruitment, because Claude can recruit some characters that Rena can't, and vice versa. Most of the storyline revolves around Claude, Rena, and their friends who investigate a meteorite that crashed into Expel, which seems to have produced a swarm of monsters. In the process, they uncover an interplanetary scheme of global domination that threatens themselves and life on Expel. It's definitely along the same lines of themes you'll find in the other Star Ocean games, which makes it stand out a bit from the purely fantasy-oriented RPGs the series is often compared to. Another thing that stands out about Star Ocean: The Second Story, and I mean really stands out compared to most RPGs, is its battle system. Unlike most turn-based RPGs, this one uses an innovative form of action RPG gameplay where combat takes place in real time, and you can continue selecting menu commands from a single character while up to 3 other characters in your party are controlled by artificial intelligence. Also, unlike the original Star Ocean for Super Famicom, this one puts your characters into a 3D battlefield. Also noteworthy is the special attacks, also known as killer moves, which really distinguish the fighter characters from each other. New killer moves are gained at specific levels, and can be bound to the L and R buttons. Each are different and consume varying amounts of magic points. What's more is that the more times you use the killer moves too, the more they improve in power and take on new qualities. Take Claude's Ripper Blast for example. At first, this attack forces a single line of jagged boulders to strike enemies, but after it's used enough times, the lines get wider and function as a frontal cone attack that has a much bigger range. The vast majority of killer moves follows the same pattern, where the attack itself evolves as you use it. This advancement system was incredibly satisfying. It allowed your characters to progress both in terms of statistical increases at level up, and also in tangible ways through the killer moves themselves. In terms of RPGs, this system really separates the Star Ocean games from the pack. Outside of the fighter characters, there's also a different type of character altogether that instead gains symbology, the ability to cast targeted spells. These caster characters generally sit back at a distance and take more time to generate each spell, and gain a variety of different types of magic as they level. For instance, Rena is a total healer, Celine casts a variety of offensive elemental spells, and Noel is a jack-of-all-trades caster. It's certainly fun to experiment with not only different combinations of characters, but also different AI settings to see what works best. Generally speaking, I think it's best to control Claude. You can only control one character at a time, but you can toggle between them to ensure you do the ability you wish. The behavior of the characters you aren't controlling is dictated through AI modes that you set in the user interface. One thing I have to mention is that unless you're familiar with the Star Ocean series, and maybe even if you are, the voice acting in this game will drive you crazy. Each individual special attack produces an audible voice clip, many of which are very cheesy. So if you keep spamming your best abilities, you'll continue to hear the same ones over and over and over. Just check this out.
Poison pill! Poison pill! Poison pill! Poison pill! Poison pill! Explosion pill! Here's light! Here's light!
It can be a bit comical at first, but you're likely to grow tired of it after a while. Some of them are cornier than others, and if you continue to use the same characters, I can see how it could drive you to madness. It's not unlike the other games in the series in this way, though. Even beyond the battle system, Star Ocean: The Second Story is filled with innovations that the whole franchise is known for. One of them is item creation, a system through which you can build powerful armor, weapons, and other items with reagents you find throughout the game. Unlike other titles where similar mechanics can provide a fun but moderate advantage, in this one some of the very most powerful weapons and armor can only be created in this way. It's truly different than any other item creation system I've ever seen. Also, the skill system stands out as a fun way to customize the progression of your character. Throughout your journey, you gain skill points that can be allocated to a whole array of different types of skills. Some that provide combat upgrades, some that assist in improving your item creation, and some that provide stat increases. You can buy new skill sets at skill guilds, and this adds a new layer to advancement beyond leveling and killer move progression. You also have the ability to engage in private actions in towns, the ability to split your party up and explore, and sometimes discover bonus storyline content or find special items. It just adds that much more flavor and lore to the experience. The soundtrack of Star Ocean: The Second Story, just like the first title, was composed by Motoi Sakuraba, now a legend in his industry. It expands on the style of high-tempo electronic sounds he is known for, but also throws in a few slower, more somber tracks as well. Star Ocean Forever stands as an uplifting theme of sorts for the game, whereas the venerable forest captures the emotional side of the score. Another track, Integral Body and Imperfect Soul, serves as a fantastic song for the final boss encounter. If there's one thing that really annoys me about Star Ocean: The Second Story, it's how long it takes for offensive spells to cast. Some of these spells, especially Leon's and Celine's, take incredibly long amounts of time to complete their animations. I get they are just trying to make these spells a visual spectacle, but man, it just gets to be way too much. Because the spellcasters just aren't as powerful as the fighter characters anyway, this issue makes me want to use them even less than I otherwise would have. When it comes down to it, Star Ocean: The Second Story provides an unforgettable experience and is definitely one of the best RPGs on the PlayStation. It combines a solid story and fun characters with gameplay that will blow your expectations away. The skill system and combat will reel you in, and the title even includes a super challenging bonus dungeon that provides yet another avenue to pour many hours into it. I can't say I like it quite as much as the original Star Ocean game, but it's definitely my second favorite, and many fans consider it to be the very best of the franchise. So, where do you think Star Ocean: The Second Story ranks in terms of the series? Is it the best, worst, somewhere in between? Let me know in a comment below. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell for more retro gaming content, and join my Discord community linked in the description. Also, please consider supporting my channel via YouTube's Join feature to receive member exclusives, such as advanced videos and complete video transcripts.